Hello, and welcome back to another speed build video. Today we're going to be getting into a mid-century modern build that I haven't really done this style in a minute, so it was exciting to get into this. And I hadn't really done this style in a while, so it was kind of fun to get back into this. I was a little bit out of my element, but I think it came together, so let's just go ahead and dive into the build. First off, I think this one was a bit challenging for me because I did some terrain manipulation. This is still something that I'm not extremely confident or feel very comfortable doing in The Sims, and I think that it's just because sometimes it's a little clunky to work with and hard to get it to work the way that you want it to, and especially whenever you're trying to raise terrain around structures. So you'll see that I'm currently doing something weird like this where the upper floor has a lot of overhang from the lower floor, and that's because I was picturing the lower floor as a basement. So it's like a two-level house, but you only see one level because there is a hill that it sits upon. So it was a little bit different for me to do something like this. I've done it before, but it's been a long time, and it's just hard to get it to look really natural, I think. I did the best that I could. Usually the way that I go about this is I try to set it to like a certain height and make it flat. And so I draw like a bigger amount of space around like the area around the house with the terrain raised, and then I go in with the smoothing tool around the edges just to make it feel more natural. Now right now it looks a little funny because you can see like corners of the house hanging over the hill. I fix all of that, but I wanted to get the shape more definite before I was like ready to go all in with it, because once you end up raising the terrain and changing that, there's kind of like no going back unless you want to redo a lot of work. But with these mid-century homes, I love mid-century style homes. I think it's really unique with the style of home. You have like a lot of the breeze block walls. You have a lot of asymmetry in the roof lines. It's usually lower pitched roof lines. They often have like a carport. It's usually open floor plan a little bit more with some platforms. I think platforms are a must in a mid-century home. I know it's not like a requirement for it to be mid-century home, but I love putting platforms in mid-century modern homes. Some like really big windows, combination of woods and stones, like more of a natural look is what I was going for with this. So the exterior, I think, pulls off pretty well a lot of the different concepts that I had in mind for mid-century modern, but there are several iterations of this. It changes over time, and that was just because I was trying to get in my element. Like I said, I don't do these types of builds very often. I think the last time that I can remember where I actually did a mid-century modern house, it was a renovation of a lot in San Sequoia. It's like a base game lot. I took it and I renovated it, and that's the last time I did any type of style, which was, I don't even know how long ago. That was like one of my earlier YouTube videos on my channel, actually. But I will link that down below if you want to check it out. I just cannot promise that the quality is that great with the video, but I obviously can't really say the same for currently right now either. So maybe not much has changed, but it's been a while since I've seen that. Now with this, I did want some fountains. Ignore like the whole row of fountains. I don't leave this. I was just trying to like put something as a placeholder, because obviously with the house going as low to the ground as you can make it, there's still like the slightest gap, and so I wanted it to be covered up with like some rocks or some type of landscaping. But I always wait to do landscaping until the end of my builds, so I did not want to have to figure that out at the moment. So I just put a lot of these like rock fountains, and I do still keep a good bit of them, but I did not keep every single one of them. It looks a little ridiculous right now. And then one of the tricky things too, whenever you're working with terrain manipulation, if you want to have like a stairway up to the front door, obviously with the rock, you can't really change that. You can't paint it. I wish you could. I don't understand why whenever you have terrain and it's like something built in like this and you see the brown rock around the staircase, I don't get why we can't paint that. It would be nice if that was not like a default thing that you can't change. I end up using a lot, and I mean a lot, of the tool mod outside for landscaping, because we're on a hill and landscaping doesn't play very nicely with hillsides in The Sims, unfortunately. So I have to like clip a lot of stuff in. Now, one thing for the interior of this build, usually when you think of mid-century modern, you, at least I, picture more warm tones, like warm wood tones. I do a bit of a combination of wood tones in this one, which can be really tricky, but I think it works well. Let me know in the comments below, like what you think. I am not an interior designer, so I could have been doing a lot of big no-nos in the interior design space, but I have this really light, faint tan wood for the flooring, but I end up doing a lot of furniture that is like a warmer tan color, and I think it balances and works really well, a good mix of warm and cool tones. And with this, like I said at the start, platforms are a must. So I have like a platform to get up into the living area, and then the living room space is sunken down. I just really love playing with platforms in this game, although it is a pain in the butt sometimes. Now, I added this like fake chimney on the front of the house, and if you're wondering like why I did 3 individual roof pieces, that's because I did not want the roof to clip into the top of the chimney space. And in order to do that in the way that you'd want it to be flush with the whole front side of the house, you have to split it up into 3 different roof pieces. That way the eaves don't come over on the middle piece where the chimney is, and then you can add another roof piece after that. That way it comes back out to the edge. It would be really great if you could like do super custom roofing. I don't understand why they didn't do this in the game. I'm sure it's a bit more complicated from a programming standpoint, but it would be nice if you could adjust per tile. You know what I'm saying? Like with walls, when you draw a room, you can pull it out and in, and it moves the whole wall with it. But sometimes, depending on the shape of the room, you can do it by tile as well and extend the room one tile. And I don't know why they couldn't do that with roofs and roof lines. That would be really, really cool if you could just like get really custom with the roof like that. I don't know. I don't know. I am just like, we get such cool mechanics for certain aspects of the game, but it doesn't carry across all mechanics, and it doesn't make sense to me why they didn't just make it more universal. But that's just, I'm going to stop ranting on that today, but I could go on and on about that for another 5 minutes, but y'all don't want to hear that. But I did this really cool, I think it's cool, custom built-in in the living space, and I wanted it to be massive. I wanted it to be the entire length of the wall. And like, could you imagine going into someone's house and seeing this? Like when you go up into the living space, it's just a massive built-in wall of displays. I think it's really, really pretty. And this is the warm wood tone that I was talking about. And I think it contrasts pretty well. But again, let me know your thoughts and how you maybe would have done this differently. Now, another thing that I think of when I think of mid-century modern are geometric shapes and patterns. So I try to play on that a pretty good bit as well. And I use a combination of green and mauve, like a mauvey pink color with a little bit of blue. So, like here, I love this tile in the kitchen because it brought all the colors together. But we get like a blue countertop, and then we have this like pink sofa in the living space with a carpet that's green currently, but I do change it. I go with something that's a little more geometric, and I put a fake rug in the living room. And what I do is I put like a low fence, and it makes it kind of look like a parsed out rug. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. You'll see it. I spent an embarrassingly long amount of time on the kitchen layout. It just was not coming to me naturally. And to be fair, it is kind of a weird scrunched in space. Usually I do like L-shaped kitchens or something on the lines of it being like a square. You have like a square-ish shape to work with. This one, I don't do galleyway kitchens or whatever they're called, and this one gave that vibe, but I didn't want counters on both sides because then it would be too crammed together, and you'd have like one tile in the center to walk down, which would be super weird. So I only had the one wall, but I wanted there to be a peninsula at least of some sort. So you have this like mid jet out section, which I think looks really cool, and I wanted to use the white swatch of that just so it pops off and you get a little bit of like a combination of a bitonal cabinet situation on the bottom part. Usually I like to do bitonal where the bottom cabinets are one color, top cabinets are another. I know that that's like a hit or miss with people. There are some people who really love it, and then there are some people who hate that. I love it when it works well and it looks good. Like I have definitely seen cabinetry that doesn't match very well in my opinion, and it can look really bad. So I totally get the sentiment with not liking that because I've seen it implemented in poor taste. But I think this looks nice. And again, it's all subjective. It's all my opinion. But I found this from bowling night. I don't use anything from bowling night, so I was a little bit excited to get to use something different. I always try to use different objects in game than what I usually use. And like what I mean by that is we all have our go-to objects that we use in all of our builds or a lot of the time. And I try my best to push myself out of my comfort zone each time I build something, especially if it's like a new style, to try something different. So this is the fence that you can see. I put it in the kitchen, but I also have it now in the living room space. We had this geometric carpet, and I was like, this is really cool. It gets different shades of pink, but I wanted some green on the floor as well. So what I do is I change the pattern up, but it connects initially with the other pattern pretty well on the edges. And I think it looks really cool because it's more of a square shape in the fake rug, but I think it's like a pentagon or something in the actual carpet. But I added some green into the rug to tie that in a little bit more. It looks a little weird when you recognize that it's like a fence on the bottom and it's like a transition strip is what I use that for. But I think it ends up making the space come alive a good bit more. Now we're working on the primary bedroom right now, and I wanted there to be warm tones in here because a lot of the other part of the house, other than the wood tone, is more like cool colors in a sense. Like the pink color could be a warmish tone, but it's like a light color, so it's not like the warmest. So I wanted the bedroom space in here to be more warm toned with yellows and oranges with like blue as an accent color. And I think that this works out really well with that kind of geometric pattern on the accent wall with those high school year curtains, also with like the same type of diamond triangular shape. And I thought that was a cool combination to put there. And then this living dining situation, I did change the like layout a few times, but this is what I end up sticking with. I put a hutch over here right next to the entrance to the living space, just to fill it in, make it feel more like a formal dining area rather than just an open space with a table, if that makes sense. And then downstairs is totally for the teenagers. So I was picturing a couple lives here with their two teenagers, and the teenagers are on the bottom floor. We're above them. We don't have to deal with it. They have their hangout space downstairs. Like all the noise is downstairs. So I would personally like the idea of that. I would not want teenagers above my bedroom. I would rather them be below my bedroom. So I put both the kids downstairs, and I wanted to do a really cool combination. You can see it's like the same carpet, but it's a different swatch. What I was presuming to be the boys' bedroom, it's like blue with green, but it has like maybe some hints of other colors. And then for the girls' bedroom, I wanted to do purple and green with hints of other colors. So green kind of ties both the rooms together. I didn't want it to be like completely different styled rooms. I wanted there to be something that ties it in together. So I thought the colors, other than the style of furniture, worked really well for that. And Dream Home Decorator came in handy a lot for the bedrooms in this house. Dream Home Decorator is one of my favorite game packs, and I think it just comes with such a wide variety of furniture. It has a ton of furniture, a lot of modular furniture, which is really nice, and it fits the style of this house. So purple and green in one, blue and green in the other, and then we have some different pops of color and accent colors in each, but I try to tie them in a pretty good bit. But I was imagining one of them is more like a sportsy, athletic, typical kind of stereotypes I did with this one, but that's because I was thinking in terms of like the 70s. If you were a boy, like I feel like parents kind of aspired you to do sports and be athletic and kind of like this stereotypical jock. And then if you were a girl, it was like the typical things you see in the movies with like the cheerleader, they do cheerleading and all these other types of activities like that, gymnastics. So that's what I played on in this. Not to say that that's how I think. I think if you're in my community and you've been here long enough, that's not at all how I think. But I think for the time period I was going for with this build, it fit in a way. So you'll see I tried to tie that story in throughout the build. One example of this is in the living space. Since we have so much space for clutter, I put trophies. I put cheerleading trophies. I put like some of the athletic trophies, the bodybuilding trophy, like the one with the dumbbell. So it ties in, like I was pretending that those were our kids' awards that they had gotten over the years or something. And then we do have like a workout space downstairs. Now I did do a little bit of a twist with that, again, because I'm not very big on stereotypes, or try not to be. But I did want the girls' hobby to be with music, and I really liked that idea. So the guy has like workout equipment downstairs, a little bit of an in-home gym space, but then the corner of the other side of that room is like the AV cart and like music production equipment and stuff like that. So I was thinking that she's just into that type of stuff. And I tie it into the bedrooms as well. Like I put some workout equipment in the bedroom for the boy and some of the sports gear. And then for the girls' room, I put the like megaphone with the pom-poms on the wall. And then I also put some music stuff in her bedroom. So I did try to like tie it in so anyone could plop this down and maybe see the storyline that I'm going with for this in a good way. So I try to be really intentional whenever I build in The Sims for that reason. I think if you can tell a story with your build, it's just more relatable, and then it's just more fun to play with. And then people can get inspired and be like, oh, I want to create Sims for this type of build. You know, like I can see the vision. And of course, you can always just change it to whatever you want it to be as well. Now, I have been using this Strangerville clock lately, and I think it's a really unique piece that we just don't get anything else like it. So it's kind of fun to put that in this build. Now we're getting into the clutter phase. I know y'all get tired of hearing me say it in all my videos, but if you're new here, because we do have a lot of newcomers all the time, we've been growing a lot here on YouTube. Thank you so much for subbing. If you've subbed, I appreciate you. And I love doing my builds in a sequence where I go through the entire house and put all the big pieces of furniture, like the main stuff that I want. And that just helps me lay out the space in the room and see the vision. And then I go back after I've done that for the whole house and I clutter it up. I am very much a maximalist in the game. I think the little details really help builds stand out a lot more from these other builds that, you know, people build intentionally for people who want to make it their own. You know, my builds, I don't think generally are for people who want to convert them. It's more for like a move-in ready household because it's already so full of objects and stuff. You know, you can obviously delete it and remove it and make it your own, but I just like already go into it with the mindset of the family that I'm picturing in it. So I go ahead and clutter it for that said family. And I get that that's not everyone's cup of tea. A lot of people maybe like downloading more simplistic cookie cutter homes that are empty and that you can furnish and make your own. I just don't enjoy doing homes like that personally. I like the little details and I like making them fun and look lived in. But let me know if people are here, if you like my content or you like my builds, I'm happy to cater to that. If y'all would like me to do more like starter home type builds where they're not as cluttered, I'd be happy to do that. It'd be a challenge for me because I love cluttering so much. But if you want me to do that, if the demand is there, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know though. Put it in the comments below if you want me to do some like starter homes or some simpler homes that maybe you'd like to see a little more empty that you want to make your own. I do think it would be fun in the future. We do some different shell challenges here. And I think it could be fun to do a challenge where it's not really like a challenge. It's just I upload a build that's a little bit furnished, lightly furnished, and then just the challenge is clutter. It's not really a shell challenge, so to speak, where you have to build the walls and like furnish and everything. It's more like a clutter challenge where it's just like the bare bones. The like before I go into my builds and start the clutter phase, it's kind of like stopping there and uploading it to the gallery with just the main pieces of furniture and seeing how you all finish off the home. Now, it's very similar, I would say, to the half-baked shell challenge that I started doing. And I would say it's different, though, because it's not a complete thing. So if you're new here and you've not seen that either, I do a half-baked shell challenge on occasion. I try to like alternate with a regular shell challenge, and then I'll do a half-baked shell challenge and go back and forth. But essentially what I do is I build the house, and there are some aspects that I build out on the interior, and then I do put some furniture, or I'll put wallpapers on certain walls or something to that effect, and you cannot change anything that's in the build. So wherever I place furniture has to stay there. You cannot move it. You can't change the swatch that I use of the furniture. So it's more like a design and build combination like of a challenge like that, which I think is really fun. And I know that some of y'all have had a lot of fun with those in the past. But I do think it could be unique to do like a clutter challenge of some sort and give you all something that's like still bare bones, but it's a bit more finished. And then just see what y'all do with the cluttering of it. I think could be fun. No restrictions on swatches or anything like that. But anyways, let me know if that sounds of interest to you too. That could be a fun thing to do. But now I'm like working on clutter. Cluttering was the hardest part of this build, and not hard in the sense of like it was difficult. It was just tedious. It was extremely tedious because we have all of these open slots. You know how tricky it is in this game if you've tried cluttering with tons of shelves above one another. Alt placing stuff is a challenge in this game, especially whenever you have so much modular furniture put together. So this was a bit tricky. It took me a while to get through the living space, but then we have all of those shelves from the bowling night pack that I put. I think that's a stuff pack. I put it by the back door. That took forever to clutter up. It took me forever to clutter this house because we have so many surfaces and shelves that I put in. Now, I will say that this is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath house. I did cut out the bathrooms for this. I'll show you the bathrooms in the tour that I'll do at the end, but I had to cut out footage because we spent a long, long time on this. I started working on it off stream, and it was because this was a request actually, which I'm surprised it took me this long, 20 minutes into the video, it took me this long to say that. But this was from one of my Twitch mods, Leah, and she wanted me to do some type of like 70s inspired mid-century home. And so this is for Leah, and that's because I have a redemption over on my Twitch. In my streams, you can spend channel points for me to do a build for you that you request within reason. Like it can't be something super, super specific, but just something kind of general that you want my take on. And that's what she wanted. So this was a fun little challenge for me. I put the bowling trophy in here, and if you'll notice later on, I can't remember if I changed it or not. I might have changed it to basketball, but in the boys' bedroom downstairs, we have this clutter object that's like with sports gear. And I know I went back and forth on making it the basketball or the bowling ball. And I feel like I stuck with the bowling ball because I was picturing like maybe that's a trophy from one of the parents, and maybe we got one of our kids into bowling because we were good at bowling. You know, the whole like persona of like putting your dreams on your kids, which I think was also a very popular thing to do in the 70s and from that generation. Not to say that it's not a popular thing still now. I think that's something that still occurs all the time with parents putting their dreams on their kids, and it's just like kind of obnoxious to not let your kids do what they want to do. But I wanted to tie in the story with that as well, but we'll see whenever I get to it. But I'm just cluttering up the master bedroom, finished up, and I put an easel in there just for an activity. Now we're getting into this basement space. You can see there's a bathroom on the left here, and then there's a half bath upstairs, and then the full bath is in the primary bedroom on their ensuite. So I put a lot of board games and just some fun activities. Again, I was picturing the whole like subfloor. I said basement, which I guess technically it is with how it's being used. But I wanted it to be like a hangout space where they bring their friends over. You know, there could be some fun activities downstairs. So I added books, board games, added, like I said, the music equipment and all of that. See, right now it's the basketball. This is the clutter object I was talking about under the mirror. But I think I end up changing it because I eventually put the basketball from Everyday Clutter on the wall. And I didn't want there to be 2 basketballs in the bedroom. But we'll see. I don't know. But I put like a little study space here for school, just imagining this is where he does his homework. Do the same thing over in the girls' bedroom as well. And then I ended up clipping the tiny living TV into the dresser, which is, I think, a good hack. I've done it before as a TV console in the living room space in a different build. I used like a console table that you could put a TV on, but I needed it to be small. And if you clip the bottom part of the tiny living plasma TV console into a table that's bigger, then you don't see anything, but you can still get the book clutter that's on the top shelf of that clipped in. And so it's just kind of sitting on top of that table, which in this case is the dresser. That's just like a little bit of a hack that I would say if you want to do something a little bit different. But I put some fun posters. I put the jerseys in here and downstairs as well. So you have all of the sports in here. Right now it's still a basketball. I'm genuinely curious if I changed that or not. And then with cluttering up, we have this picture that looks like a team photo from like soccer or something. And so I put that in there. I put a bowling pin as a decor object. And then I put the chess table on the dresser. So I put this like rook looking piece, or not rook. Why did I say rook? The knight. Good Lord. That's my brain tumor. Okay. So I put a knight piece on there, and that was why. And then I put like a robot at the top, just thinking that maybe he's into robotics as well. Just trying to think through some ways to tie in the the storyline a little bit. Now, this is our cheerleader's bedroom, so I've tried to put some of the like fun sports banners as well, and the pom-poms over by her bed, and the megaphone I end up putting by the mirror, and put some fun clutter in this. I put a trophy in there as well, just trying to tie into that. I found this like cheer backdrop, and I was trying to size it down and then just use it like it's a poster, but with it being on an actual stand where the legs stick out, I was just like, it looks weird, I can't do it. So I put a lot of music posters and records in her room, just keeping in mind she's the one who's like really into music, and that's her hobby. So I wanted to tie that in really well with this too. Also, if I'm like over explaining, let me know. I really get into the details of my builds in the sense of I like thinking through all of the logistics, and like I like picturing what Sims live there. I just don't really like doing casts. I'm very much a builder in The Sims. I don't do a lot of casts at all. So if you want to build families for this, that's great. I've had people do that before. I love it when they share it in the Discord server, and I love seeing what you come up with. So like, y'all know at this point in the video what Sims I'm imagining here. If you ever make Sims for this build, let me know. I'd love to see them. I like to check them out and see. You have some of the same activities, hobbies you can put, aspirations you can put for them that match the aesthetic that I have going on. Now, I took the Adventure Awaits board game display and then took the shelf from Adventure Awaits and clipped it in to make it look like it's one built-in piece. And I think that's really cool, and it looks better whenever it's sized down. I hardly ever leave displays their normal size. I feel like all of the displays we have for wall clutter and objects in general are 9 times out of 10 too big. So I don't know. It's just not vibing with me. I ended up putting lava lamps in the rooms too. Just a very, again, made me think of like 70s type of aesthetic. And then I did use some cozy kitsch as well. But this one I used like yellow and orange as like an accent color around the room, which I think is a good pop of color for this room. It's definitely got a little more colors than the boys' room does. And then I put like a little beanbag chair in there as a little hangout space, so to speak. And then I was imagining a cat living here. So if you saw, there's a little cat picture in her bedroom, but we have the cat tree in the primary bedroom as well. And I think I might have put the litter box downstairs under the stairs. I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure that's where it is. Now we're getting to the exterior. I cut out a lot for the exterior because it took me forever to figure out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. So if there are abrupt shifts, that's why. And then as you can see here, I ended up keeping 4 of those fountains, and then I filled it in with landscaping best I could. It took up so much space. I was trying to make it look naturally overgrown a little bit behind the fountains. And then I put like some shrubs up against that wall. But I did go more the route with a lot of like green landscaping, and then there are a couple of little pops of color that I have that are like orangey, peachy, pink tones in the flowers that I ended up using. I used like I think they're called the foxtails, these right here. So you get a little bit of like a pink color from those. And then I had a low-lying flower right here that I used that's more orange, peachy colored. So those are the colors that I use other than just green and white and neutral colors. So I wanted to put those though around the fountain spaces. And then I used, like I said, a lot of tool mod for rock placement on the embankment, and we have a driveway going up. So I tried to find some of those really big rock pieces, like perfect timing, like those, and then clip them in, size them down, do whatever I could to fit more of like a natural look to where it was built in and around the rocks. So that was a bit tricky with this one. It took a while to place these in a way that I thought looked good, or at least good enough. And I wanted the walkway to feel more natural. So I spent a lot of time working on the little details with that. And then I also put these rocks on the embankment going up by the driveway, as well as around that edge up to the backyard. Now, you don't really get a lot of time to see it, but there is a pool and a big bonfire space that I ended up putting in the backyard space. Lots of platforms and things happening there, and I think it looks really, really cool. And instead of just yapping about it, I'm just gonna go ahead and stop it here, and we're gonna check it out. So here's the build. As you can see, like, I hope it can come across why it would take me a while to do the landscaping for this, but this is what we're working with here. So we have like a little driveway that comes up right here. You just kind of have to ignore the fact that it doesn't actually connect to anything. but depending on the lot that you put it on, if you put it on a different lot, it could work. But as you come around to this side here, I did use these pieces from Royalty and Legacy, and I thought that was a cool roof piece design for the carport area. Did put a car in here, a little bit of Restoration Workshop stuff, and the trash can. And then as we come around to the backyard space, you can see here, this is our bonfire space. We have a little hangout here because we have a kitchen outside. You can come over here and eat. You have the loungers, obviously the pool, little custom cool looking garden bed with some of the desert scape. I wanted to tie that in because we have like desert scape back here. So I did try to tie in the landscaping that we have like over here. For instance, you see these flowers. I tried to incorporate it, like these pink ones here. I tried to incorporate those over here. So it's just like matches the world a little bit better. But I did put this like custom looking pergola space outside over here, which I think is really, really cool. And we have a hot tub underneath it. And then this is where our outdoor kitchen space is. And then you can see it at nighttime too. It is pretty well lit. Got some landscaping lights all the way around over there. If you're wondering what this is, it's technically a divider. And I raised it up to make it look like these like breeze blocks somewhat, like a breeze block custom wall type situation. And that's what I used over here for the carport as well. As you come up those stairs, we come in the front door. You have a little bench over here. Then once you enter, big open foyer space. Have a little section over here to put your stuff as you come in. We have laundry off of that. This is off the carport space. So this is honestly the entry I would imagine that we use more than anything, which is why I put the shoes over here. But then you come up the platform here. We have a piano off to the right there. Dining space over here on the left. And then as you come into the sunken living room, this is what this looks like. Have some fun little pillows and what I pretend to be blankets. These are just towels, but I like to think of them as blankets. And then we have all the fun clutter. These are the trophies I was talking about in reference to like our kiddos and stuff. And then we have a cow plant up there. And I just think the clutter works really well. I did add these windows, which I think helps bring some light in. And I use these dividers. It's still a pretty open floor concept. The dividers I just thought were more appropriate. Again, it lends more like a geometric pattern. And then this is the flooring with the fake rug that I had for the border there. And then getting into the kitchen space, this is what you can see going down. These are the Snowy Escape shelves, and I clipped them in, so you only see half of them, but it looks like a small little shelf set, and I thought that was a cool, interesting vibe. And then we have all the clutter on the shelf over here. I did put the pressure cooker, and then we have our fridge, little bag of groceries on the edge right there, about to put those up. And then this is the bowling night display that I had as well. That took me forever to do. Bathroom. This is our first bathroom. It's just a little half bath. Very simple. And then I think all we have left is the primary suite. So as we come over here, come in here, look how like bright but warm this is. I absolutely love this. And I love this with like the windows over here, the sun coming in. Your cat would love laying down right there. But I think this looks really cool. I would love this bedroom in real life. I think it's like a fun color scheme. And then their bathroom is off of there. Got a full bath. But I did go more with the blue and orange and yellow in there just to tie it in. I think it complements the color scheme a bit better. Okay, and then as we go down the stairs here and get into the basement area, this is the little hangout stuff that I have, board games, some books, workout area for the teenager boy, and then the girls, cool like workspace with the music stuff. And yes, the kitty litter box is down there. So going into the boys' bedroom, we have more workout equipment. And then I had these like fun little wall accents. This is also in the girls' bedroom. But yes, bowling ball. I did change it to the bowling ball. Okay. Some jerseys on the walls and then just sports gear. I think this turned out really well. I love the aesthetic for this room. Like this is a really cool little bedroom. And then the girls' bedroom as you come in, fun little entry space there. And then workspace over here. Like, I really like the style and the colors. I love how the colors came together, and they work so well together because it's the same stuff. It's just different swatches of like the same wallpapers and carpet and stuff. So it makes it feel a little more cohesive. I don't like it if I use carpet and tile and stuff. I don't want every room to have its own unique carpet or tile. I think it kind of loses its real life aesthetic a little bit. Not that I always build for realism, but realistically though, you don't want that. And then I pretended that this is carpet I have on the ceiling, but it kind of gave off the aesthetic of a popcorn ceiling, and that's what I was going for. So I actually have carpet on the ceiling just for the popcorn vibes. And then their bathroom that they share is right here. So cute little bathroom, still a full bathroom, and then I put like some fun ceilings on that. But that's the build, y'all. It took me forever to do, but I think the payoff is worth it, and I think it looks really cool. So let me know what you think. I put this on the gallery as the mid-century desert oasis. So it does use a lot of packs, and for that I am very sorry. But maybe I'll do a limited pack build here soon. And if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It helps me a lot if you watch the whole video. Algorithm is doing its thing, but also not. A lot of people, I'm still getting really kind comments from you all saying like, how in the world have I not come across your videos? I love your builds. I see them and I try to reply to all of them. Thank you so much. I really am grateful for that, and I greatly appreciate the support, honestly. It means a lot to me. And on that note, I do want to go ahead and say thank you to all of my channel members for supporting me from month to month. It means a lot, and it helps go toward my goal of becoming a content creator as like an actual job. So I would love to do that in the future, and man, I'd be able to do so many more builds. I have such a laundry list of builds and build ideas that I just cannot get to. I just don't have the time. And if you want to catch my last speed build video, I'll put that over here for you. And on that note, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye. All I have to say is that I'm really glad that I took on the challenge of doing some terrain manipulation with this build, and I think it turned out pretty cool.